One of the busiest weeks in racing is upon us. We've got Toronto to look back on. We've got Laguna Seca to look forward to this weekend for IndyCar. NASCAR is in town here in Indianapolis, and we've got you covered from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend to Laguna Seca here on Unverified, episode 21, a very special episode. Rinus VeeKay set to join us off of the podium over the weekend in Toronto. David had a huge weekend north of the border. Got to sit down and talk with none other than Zach Brown. We're going to discuss that interview. We're going to talk about Pato O'Ward's victory, the championship a little bit closer, but still way far out of the reach of Pato O'Ward. As Alex Palou probably had one of his worst weekends of the season outside of Detroit. David Land, Tony Donohue, another episode of Unverified. We thank you so much for being here. Boys, David, welcome back to the country. Excited to talk to Rinus here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, it barely got back. Thanks for nothing, Air Canada. I won't be flying you again. But everything else was great in Canada. Had a great time. As you mentioned, Tony, I had to keep that one under wraps. But I hope everybody who tuned in, because I've got nothing but good feedback about it. The interview with Zach Brown, it just worked out very well. Had some help from the folks at Fan Amp, and it wouldn't have looked that good without him. So shout out to them. But it was a career moment. I'll put it that way. And that has already bore some other opportunities out. So I'm looking forward to the future for sure.
Kyle, big weekend for you. I know you're out at IMS today doing some stuff. You and I had a nice little Monday afternoon. We got to go the two-seater sprint car with Kevin Thomas Jr. Wednesday night out at IRP, USAC Silver Crown, and then Sprint Week kicks off. Indiana Sprint Week kicks off inside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Thursday evening. Kyle and I took a two-seater ride. You can check out our social media outlets for those videos. It was a lot of fun, but Kyle, I know you've been busy over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I was at another go-kart track last weekend. I was commentating, and my birthday was on Friday. We're officially 24, and I drove a go-kart, and it didn't go great, but I improved 0.6 between two sessions, and I only had really two sessions, so consider that a win, right? We got to go ride in a sprint car. I wish we had GoPros of our faces, but we weren't really prepared. It was like Tony calls me up and says, "Hey, we're gonna go do this," and then we went and did it. Like, it was completely off the cuff. So, but the content we did get, it was pretty good. And man, that was a ride.
Okay, tell me about it. What was it like? Because I missed out on this opportunity because I was in the great state of New Jersey.
Yeah, you can see David kind of cross his arms. When
I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
You know what? It's kind of like they give you a fake steering wheel, so you can kind of like pretend you're doing it, right? And honestly, like, from all the simulators I've driven, that ass feel you get on dirt, it feels about the same. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I kind of had that, it kind of feels what I thought it would,
Yeah, so to put it all in context, I got a call from Doug Bowles yesterday and did not expect him to say what he was about to say. I thought I was in trouble for something, or maybe tweeting out what was going on the driver scanners throughout Toronto. And Doug said, "Hey, just got back in town. What are you doing?" And I mean, as I told you on the phone, David, when Doug Bowles asks you what you're doing, your plate becomes clear real quick. And even if he were to say, "Well, come cut my grass," like a quote out of Caddyshack, I probably would have done it. And he said, "Hey, we've got some openings we're running the two-seat sprint car, promoting Thursday night's race. Kevin Thomas Jr., who I've known for about a decade, really good dude." So Kyle and I went out there. We had a really good time. A couple other media from local radio. Beth Bowles took a ride as well, but that was certainly a lot of fun. But David, I want to break into the interview with Zach Brown. Nicely done. There was a lot to, I think, take from that interview, right? So talking about the future, talking about Nolan Siegel, and kind of adapting to IndyCar. And there's been some back and forth on Nolan Siegel. You guys talked about Tony Kanaan and the success that he's been showing. Obviously, the next day, Pato O'Ward wins his second win of the season, is second in 3 races, is second in about 6 or 7 days. Kyle, I think you had a chance to watch it as well. Zach's a guy that I think, you asked him, do you have aspirations of maybe even having more of a footprint, so to speak, in IndyCar? And I think he kind of held back a little bit and wanted to give you the full go. But very interesting interview, some really, really good observations, some really good knowledge out of that. David, just from your initial reaction sitting there talking to him, what is it that you took away the most out of that interview?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an interview. I knew what I needed to ask. I hope I hardballed enough. That's the one thing that I kind of look back on it, and there was a couple of follow-ups I probably could have asked that I didn't. Though I did ask a couple of them. What I really wanted to do, I think the biggest question that I had going in that I wanted answered was, I wanted to get a really good sense of what McLaren's commitment level to IndyCar is. And it sounds like, at least reading between the lines with Zach and what he said, they're good through 2028, which is good for sure. And it was good to have him on the record committing to IndyCar. You mentioned the answer about from Zach about potentially being involved more in the series. There's always rumors about whether or not he would want more involvement in the series. His answer was pretty interesting, which it wasn't no, it was, I wish there were more hours in the day so I could. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think I hope enough information came out of that it was valuable, because you don't get that many opportunities with someone like Zach Brown, certainly not off the rip like that. So I just wanted to make the most of it and ask the best questions. And I feel like we got a pretty good sense of where McLaren stands in IndyCar and where Zach Brown stands in his feelings around IndyCar. I mean, I wish I would have had 30 to 45 minutes with him, because there were so many things that I kind of wish I'd pressed him about Honda a little bit. It's not the first time that we've heard a McLaren person bring up Honda before they say the name of the manufacturer they're actually associated with. So that was interesting. It's also interesting that I heard from a very reliable source that he walked in a red trailer this weekend. But I wish I would have pressed him about the finish to the Indy 500 in 2024. Not so much that it was a weird look with Penske getting a red flag, but I kind of wanted to point out that, hey, in 22, you had the same situation almost benefit you when you guys were in second place behind Marcus Ericsson. So I hope I did a good enough job of balancing, asking the right questions, the hard questions, but also keeping him comfortable so that he was able to answer them, answer the tough questions well. It didn't feel like a gotcha interview. You got to be careful with that. And so for a first shot with an F1 team principal, I feel pretty good about it, but there was always room to improve, I guess.
I thought touching on a lot of the different disciplines, F1, IMSA,
yes,
the sports car talk was very good. It's funny. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I won't say who it was, but they mentioned, when it comes to Zach, they remember him up at the Castleton Mall selling rides in sports cars. I mean, just, up and down the road, down 82nd Street here at Indy. I think he is a brain that IndyCar could use in a huge capacity. Now, is he going to leave his position to do that? I highly, highly doubt it. But he certainly has a lot of different interests. And I think what he kept going back to in your conversation was just how much he loves IndyCar racing and how much that has a special place in his heart to continue moving forward in the sport in any capacity. Obviously, right now it's with McLaren, but I really, you could really feel his passion coming out for IndyCar racing in general.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really productive. And actually, that was one of the comments that I saw the most on my video, was that you don't really see that many in-depth interviews with Zach Brown where F1 isn't the focus. I started and ended the interview with F1. Obviously, we needed to talk about the movie and the fact that Zach, I think, has a speaking role in it, if I remember correctly. And then I wanted to pivot it to IndyCar. And so the rest of the conversation, I mean, obviously we did talk about sports cars. Zach brought it up. I had intended to ask about sports cars, but it wasn't going to be at that point in the interview. But when he volunteered it, I had to pivot a little bit, which was fine. And then I ended the interview by talking about Lando and Oscar in the World Championship. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because the IndyCar media is in a place where there are just so few outlets where someone like Zach Brown can kind of be platformed and be heard. So again, I mean, I really appreciate Aero McLaren and McLaren themselves, McLaren Racing, for kind of trusting me with that. And judging by the amount of people that are talking about it, I think it was mutually beneficial for both parties. I'll put it that way. So it was a really cool opportunity, and I'm glad people liked it. And again, I hope it was informative. That was the biggest thing I wanted to get out of that interview, was to really establish where Zach is in IndyCar racing and where McLaren is in IndyCar racing. Because McLaren, you see the grandstands, right? You can see how many papaya uniforms there are, right? Everybody, whether it's Pato, whether it's Lundgaard, I even met a Nolan Siegel fan in Iowa, right? So there are a lot of people who support that team, love that team. They are extremely important to IndyCar. So I really wanted to nail down where they stand, where they want to see the sport go, even if you disagree, because I think that's the big point of contention, which I agree is contentious. And again, if I had had more than 20 minutes with Zach, I probably would have pressed him more on his desire to limit the car counts. I did press him a little bit because I asked for clarification of what he wanted to see, which he mentioned the difference between, which I actually do agree with, by the way. I think the point that he made, I agree with. I just don't agree with trying to limit the field, which was that you can't, the majority of your series, cost containment is important, but it can't be the majority of what you're doing. You need to make sure that you're pushing the sport forward while also containing the cost, not containing the cost so the sport can go forward. So I agree with Zach on that one. I just disagree with the way and the means in which he wishes to achieve that. So, but that's fine. And again, that's, hopefully interview 2, we can get further into that, right? Eventually, when Zach is back stateside. As far as I'm aware, this is his only other IndyCar appearance this year. He'll be focused on the Formula One championship the rest of the year. But yeah, no, when you get those opportunities, you have to say, I mean, again, like I was not even planning on being at Toronto, a week and a half before, and the opportunity presented itself at Mid-Ohio, and I made it happen. And I had a lot of help along the way. Those people know who they are, and I appreciate that. And we got there. So it was very, very awesome.
Yeah, I would say to the car count thing, when we start lowering car counts, then we eventually in the month of May will be further and further away from making sure that we get to 33, which is obviously one of the biggest traditions that everybody talks about. And I think in sports in general, you want to have the top teams, but you also want to have that underdog story. And sometimes in IndyCar, we get that underdog story, and we want to see some of the, we're about to have the biggest underdog story in the series right now on our show with Rinus VeeKay. Now, obviously, he's a very talented driver. We all know that. But as everybody knows, that in the past, Dale Coyne Racing has been a bit underfunded and doesn't have the top-level pit crew, the top-level, advancements and performance and parts and all those pieces that go into a weekend. Kyle, I'll ask you this. You're within the younger generation of fans in IndyCar. What has a team like McLaren, both IndyCar and Formula One wise, done to push the needle, to move the needle and push the sport forward to a younger generation like you? Because when we do go to these racetracks, you are seeing way more McLaren gear. You're seeing way more Pato Award gear. Obviously, he's the most popular driver. But what have you seen with McLaren? I know you have a couple McLaren shirts as well that has pushed IndyCar forward to your generation.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? Especially in the Drive to Survive era, where having a Formula One team in IndyCar is, that's huge. You can just tell by their social media, right? Because it's I think it's far and above a lot of the other teams. I mean, there's probably 2 to 3 teams that have the level of social media reach that McLaren does. I would say Andretti is probably the closest to them. But yeah, I mean, it's huge to have that reach and, to share the F1 fan base and kind of have something to reach out in another series and get different eyeballs that's been huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great. Again, it was a great interview. If you missed that on David Land's YouTube channel, be sure to go check it out. It's good. It's really good. There's a lot of information, and I think a lot of things, David, that are on the fence for people to agree with. Some people are going to agree with some things he said, while others won't. And that's what makes a really good conversation. So as we wait for Rinus VeeKay to join us, let's talk about the weekend up in Toronto for IndyCar. Pato O'Ward gets it done. A very racy street course, which David Land's going to have to admit that it was a really good race, and I'm sure that.
All right, Marcus. Okay, all right.
I think we mentioned this last week. We have more so David and Marcus Armstrong, but I've kind of been a part of it as well too, of like a running joke of David wants more ovals and Marcus wants more street courses. So, and then Marcus goes and puts it on the podium there
on an oval.
So. Big time weekend for Pato O'Ward, bunch of different strategies. I'm going to ask Rinus about this because I was listening to the scanners, and they were coming back, and he stayed out under that yellow. I think he was leading, and Rinus was like, "Oh, I got to save the tires. I don't know if I can hold everybody off." And Michael's like, "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." And then obviously, it ended up being the difference. I know that they have brought in some engineers over to Coin to help that program out. I'm going to give the floor to you guys for the next couple of minutes. Go ahead and get all your Kiff dog love out there, baby. Because you guys have been talking about a Kiff and Simpson podium, maybe even a win. And that race on Sunday really, really fell into his favor as far as saving fuel, being patient. And Kiff and Simpson, his first career podium, comes home third. Probably the most unpredictable podium we've had at IndyCar in about a decade.
David, you ready to have the discussion that we had at B-Dubs today?
Yes. Well, can you highlight Super 01's comment, which I would agree with, is that Ganassi has been elite on the social media, especially like the last couple of weeks. They've been great. So good job, Ganassi. But no, so we did discuss this at lunch. We talk about Kiff and Simpson more than we care to admit, actually.
Hell, we got a mini helmet, so it's fine.
Well, that's true. Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, the Kiff Dog agenda is
agenda's huge.
It's just we can't resist it. But I'll be honest. Like Mike Hull sold me at Mid Ohio. Like in the post race press conference, he said this kid's going to win a race, and I think he is. Now, is it going to be is he going to Pelot it, or is he going to Dixon it? No. But Kyle, I think it's fair to say, and this is kind of the conclusion that we came to, is that I think he's legitimately one of the top 10 guys on a road course in this series right now.
Yes, we had that discussion. Now, in a Ganassi
caveat
car, in his situation, right? I don't think he goes to another team and is in another situation, another environment, and is a top. But right now in the series, in the equipment he's in, with the work that he's put in, I think he's a top 10 guy. Like I explained this to David. Here's my reasoning. It was the Fast 6 appearance at Mid Ohio that sold me. You can fuel mileage your way or run a good race and finish in the top 10 here and there. But, you have to be fast enough legitimately to make it to the Firestone Fast 6. And David and I kind of drew the comparison here to Charlie Kimball, right? I mean, he's just that guy that's been putting together good runs, and eventually he's going to get himself that win. Like, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be this year. I think it'll be next year or year after, but he's going to get that win at some point.
Well, if you think about it, he was third on the road in Mid Ohio, right? Like legitimately third until he ironically ran into our guest pit crew. And let's say something goes slightly differently, and Pelot re-enters the track and takes Dixon out, right? And the two of them crash. Well, Kiffin just won the race, right? So you've got to be in position, like it's the old phrase, you got to be in position to be in position. But I think as his pace increase, like again, I think a lot of people keep pointing out he's 20. Yeah. He didn't even have booze on the podium. Can you drink booze in Canada at 20? I don't know, but I assume
actually think so.
Probably
Did he have?
Actually, hold on.
Did he have real octane in that? Okay,
I need to fact check this. Keep going.
okay, fact check it. Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, if he's on the podium in California, he's not going to be able to have booze on the podium. So he's 20. He's 20, right? So, and another point that Mike Hull, drinking age is 19 in Canada. So there you go. Thank you, off in the S's. That's a true Canadian right there. Thank you very much for that. So there you go. So Kiffin got the full octane experience for his first podium. We love that for him.
I want to know if they actually did give him booze, though. Did they? We got to find it out.
Should I
Sure smelled like it.
Should I lob a text over?
Yeah, let's break some news. Let's break some news on the show. I'm
sure this particular person will get right back to me.
I'm positive. Well, depends who it is, but yeah, no, I think that. Where was I going with that? I've completely lost the train of thought. We started talking about booze. No, I think Kiffin can win, but I don't know where it's going to happen. It's going to have to. Again, he's not going to dominate a race. But I mean, why not? Why not Portland? Here's the thing that I am going to say, though, and I'm going to say this with kid gloves, because I don't. There's one question that comes up in every press conference that he's in, or even his teammates are in, and the question is always, can Kiffin drive? Or like, oh, you've proven now that you can drive. Well, I go back to Mike Hull's answer back at Mid-Ohio. He's been racing in like ELMS, doing pit stops, racing wheel to wheel competitively. Like, he didn't come up through the road to Indy, but I don't think anyone can tell me that Kiffin Simpson isn't a race car driver or is like a back of the field back marker. Like, he's mid-pack, maybe top of the mid-pack, but that in this era of IndyCar, that's damn good. So I don't know. I don't know why we're dedicating this much time to the guy who finished third, but like
I go back to, and I just sent a reminder to Rinus, by the way.
Thank you.
I go back to, I mean, Bruce Martin's been talking a lot about Kiffin. You guys have been talking a lot about Kiffin.
Just naming and shaming.
I go back to my conversation with Taylor Kyle about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I said, what are the expectations for Kiffin? And in the first year, it was complete as many laps. But look, you're in a room where it's Dixon, it's Dario, it's Palou. You've got, Chip and Mike. I mean, Barry Wanzer. You have some of the top tier brains inside of IndyCar in that debrief with you. So Taylor Kyle told me, look, you got to just listen and take those things and learn and learn and learn. He did that. Colton Herta qualifies on the pole, finishes fourth. Marcus Ericsson rounds out your top five, his best finish of the season. What else stood out for you guys with the race over the weekend in Toronto?
You just mentioned it's an Andretti fumble. And I wish my memory. I made a big mistake by putting my memory card in my bag. It's the only thing that really didn't make it, that was important to make the video, because I have everything else, thankfully. So Laguna content will be coming. But I talked to all three of the drivers after the race, and I get it. The one that was kind of happy was Marcus, because he finally got a result. But Colton and Kirkwood kind of felt like we blew it, and they didn't even really blow it. It's just like circumstances didn't work in their favor. They didn't do anything wrong. Even the one quote unquote mistake from Kirkwood during the race was him getting run into by Marcus Armstrong. Now, Kirkwood definitely didn't do himself any favors in qualifying, but that wouldn't have helped anyway, because the strategy didn't fall his way. So, and he was up to third on the first lap as it was. So I think the story of the weekend, I think there was two big stories. I think the outside of the podium, which was that Andretti, the street course kings, the cars that everybody talks about are head and shoulders above everybody else. They didn't win. And then Team Penske again, just absolutely out to lunch. And it's crazy to think about this, but we are four races away from Penske's worst season since 1999, where they had a tire disadvantage. they had an engine disadvantage, and some would argue they had a chassis disadvantage. They have technically none of those things right now. So is this Penske's worst season ever? I think you can make an argument.
Yeah, no, it's been tough, and it's different ways of blowing a race weekend. It's McLaughlin coming out of the pits, losing the tire. It's Joseph Newgarden. It's I mean, there's just a lot of things this season that has gone Penske characteristically wrong this season. Without further ado, first podium of the season, finishes second. He's now got 7 top 10s on the season. It's more than a Carpenter Racing combined, by the way. Rinus VeeKay joining us on Unverified.
Hey.
We love it. There is. Welcome to Unverified, Rinus. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to be here.
Well, let's start with Saturday and Sunday before we kind of back up the season you're having with Dale Coyne Racing and the Ask ROI number 18 Honda. I was listening in early in the race. You were in the lead, and you were kind of worried about saving tires and keeping these drivers behind you. Michael Cannon comes on the radio and says, "Don't worry, we know what we're doing." How important has his chemistry with you and him and the rest of the team been this year, and what's his presence been since joining after the Indianapolis 500?
Yeah, it's been very important to have him on the team. I mean, just the consistency that he brings is huge. With Ed Nathman to start the season, we've had some really good success. 3 top 10s with him, almost a podium in Barber. But, really up and down. Sometimes we showed up with stuff and it just didn't work. And with Michael Cannon, he just has so much recent success and experience in IndyCar. It just, he has this threshold of, that's the law. We need the setup to make sense. And that's, it needs to be like this. It just knows everything. It's crazy. So that really helps. And he has made the work in IndyCar a lot more fun when everything works out, strategy and everything.
Rinus, you brought the trophy to the press conference and you said you were going to take it all over. And there it is in the background. You said you were going to take it all over Toronto. What did you and that trophy get up to after the race?
Actually, I did not take it all over Toronto because it was not going to fit in my carry-on luggage. So there we go. I did go all over Toronto, though.
Okay, well, what'd you see? What'd you do? Don't lie in the press conference again. That you can't be doing that.
Hey, I didn't know. I'm not a very experienced podiumer, so I miscalculated.
Okay. No, where'd you go? How'd you celebrate?
We went to King Street. Just I had by coincidence 2 friends over from the Netherlands, my wife. And then my assistant engineer who has a big say in strategy, he kind of came up with that. So him and his girlfriend, just we had a good night. No drinks because I got to do it again coming weekend. But definitely, I got some hearing damage that night. Yes.
You mentioned your wife. I mean, one of the most important aspects of your career has been your family. Just kind of talk about that and how much they've supported you, especially in some of these tough times recently.
Yeah, I mean, you win as a family, as a team, and you also suffer defeat as a team. So it's kind of been a roller coaster with the off season, the way it was, then signing with Dale right before the season, and then now having 7 top 10s, tight with my best, and 1 podium already this season has been just so cool. And it means a lot for the family. And I have to say everybody's having a lot of fun with this team, Dale Coyne Racing. The family is just super welcome. My parents, Carmen, Carmen's on the timing stand sitting next to Dale. She's kind of part of the team, so it's pretty cool.
You mentioned it. I mean, just how much fun is everybody having? We've been around you at races, and there's always going to be trying times. And we've always known Dale Coyne Racing as the little team that could. You're certainly doing it this year, but how much fun are you having? I know you've been helping Jacob Abel along as well. You guys have a great relationship and have bonded a lot through the season. I mean, Rinus, I think sometimes we forget you're 24 years old and you've been in this sport for 5+ years now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. The team, it's a good group. It's everybody has the same mindset, and everything we're doing right now is working. So whenever you do stuff, you work hard, and the ball is rolling, and there's positive momentum. That's just so good, and it's just fun showing up every time, knowing it doesn't matter where we qualify. Yes, if we qualify up front, we will finish up front, but even when we qualify in the back, we have an opportunity to move forward. So even with Jacob, it's been really good to have him around. He's just a super nice guy, and especially with what I'm doing now, I can teach him a lot of little tricks and building up a race in IndyCar. And he's having a little bit of a hard time, a bit less lucky than I have been, but he's really made some really big changes so far in the season.
I mean, it sounds, Rinus, like you have really found a home here at Dale Coyne Racing. And I guess I'll ask the tough question. If an offer comes in the off season from a bigger team, I mean, is it really going to be an easy choice to leave, or would you even want to leave if an opportunity comes to leave?
Oh, especially when you're doing this well and when you're having this much fun in a team, it's never easy to leave. But I have to look at my career. I'm definitely really interested in talking to Dale, getting something done for next year, because it's been just so good for me, for my career, and for them. I think we're a really good fit. But we have to explore just what the options are, and just like any time, any off season, just see what the options are, think about it, and see what makes sense.
Maybe I'm wrong here, so correct me if I am, but this is probably the first time in your career you've been driving as quote unquote a free agent for the next year. Obviously you're on a new team this year, but I don't think you really learned that you weren't going to be back until probably right before that, and maybe last September, as soon as the season ended. So what's it like driving to prove yourself for next year? And then how much do you get involved in those talks? And how hard is it sometimes to shut those rumors down and not think or listen to what maybe you're hearing throughout the media or what people are saying about your future?
Yeah, I mean, a lot is being said. Of course, you listen to stuff. Social media is big. But to me, the biggest thing I can do, the best thing for me, for the team, for everybody around me, is be successful, do what I've been doing, and just drive the shit out of that car. So that's just whatever I'm doing, and it's gonna help my stock. It's gonna make or create more opportunities for me. So we'll see what happens. But for me, the focus is always the same, and that's every weekend just get the most out of everything.
I heard Townsend Bell mention during one of the Fox broadcasts that, and I don't know if this is true, but like you can kind of address it or not, is Townsend kind of speculated that you, when you were at Ed Carpenter Racing, you and the team were kind of comfortable. And the fact that you've kind of moved into a situation where, like Tony mentioned, the future is uncertain. You have to perform. It's a smaller team. It's you have to kind of put the car on your back at times. Has that been your experience? Have you really, kind of felt more motivated this year than you have the last couple of years?
Definitely. And I think also with the new group, I'm trying to show myself, make my presence the best as possible. It's like I can reinvent myself. So, kind of showing the team the best effort I can show, sending them big reports and making sure we can still keep getting bigger and I'm still trying to impress the team. Where at Carpenter Racing, that was kind of, they knew me as who I was at that time, and I knew them as they were, and the group around me didn't change. That was kind of my idea of this is how it is. Now with Dale Coyne Racing, it's just, everything kind of starts over, and I can try to build a new reputation in this new team. And, that takes effort, and effort creates success.
Yeah, I think we see it in all major sports, basketball, especially baseball. Sometimes just a change of scenery is what is needed. But how much has Rinus VeeKay changed as a human being and a driver since you came in as a rookie? I mean, every human being changes from the age of 20 to 24, and then again from 24 to 28, those type of things. But how much have you changed and become a more mature driver, especially this year, knowing that you have to perform at your best and show your talents?
Yeah, definitely changed. I mean, I didn't know what was going on with strategy when I came in as a rookie. I just did what they said, and I think I really changed halfway through 2024. Changed my mindset, changed how I raced, and really started to maximize every opportunity I had. Take a little bit less risk, like get the car over the line every time. Also, get more involved with strategy and start making decisions myself. And I think I finished the season really strong with ACR last year, and I started the year out exactly the same this year. So that has really helped. But yeah, I also feel really comfortable. I feel like I'm really part of the team here with Bill Coin Racing, and the strategy, like you did in Toronto, was exactly the plan. I knew exactly what I needed to do to make it happen, and I was screaming on the radio like, we need to pit right now, because I knew we hit that lap where we could pit to make it to the end.
Kyle?
Stymie Snurdly in the chat has a kind of interesting question that I'd like to ask you, Rinus, because you ran your entire career up until this point in Chevrolet equipment. And Stymie wants to know, besides the obvious fuel advantage, how has the transition to the Honda equipment been for you? And I know one of the things that you drivers always talk about with the difference between the Honda and the Chevy is the word drivability. But could you explain what the difference in drivability between the Honda and the Chevy is?
And I think before you answer that, we'll just also open up questions to the chat. So chat, if you have any questions, go ahead, Rinus.
All right. Yeah, I think for drivability, the thing is, I think the Chevy has more power on going, at low revs, going to throttle, but the way it kicks in is super hard to drive, and it just, it always spins the wheels and kills your rear tires, makes it really hard. Where the Honda, the way that the power comes in, it's so smooth, and it's really nice to the setup. So, as a driver, it's just a bit easier to drive, especially on street courses. I remember St. Petersburg, I was in a corner, I had, full steering locking, and I just pumped the throttle right away, and it stuck. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's what I always wondered. What is it like? So I feel like, especially on the alternates, that's where it really comes alive.
I've got a question for you. You could take it where you want. More important, high finish, the Java House Grand Prix this weekend or the Bitnile Grand Prix coming up at Portland?
Ooh.
Both?
For the Laguna GP, I would say depends on where they finish.
Yeah.
Portland, yes. I'll take the podium in both, but yes, depends on where they finish at that point. I'm not too butthurt about it. It's kind of become a little bit of a joke, but yes, it is funny that they are back to back.
You mentioned. Well, Rinus, real quick, I mean, you mentioned to win a race, you're going to need to qualify better. You qualified very well at Toronto. What was the difference?
The difference was that this is basically, the car setup was really much based off Detroit, which we qualified 7th there. That was Michael Kenna's first weekend. I think this is the part of the season where we show up and we have a setup for the occasion, where at first, we have been kind of trying around. There's not a lot of testing going on, trying to find stuff that works. And we've got a setup for every race coming up right now because we've kind of gone through that trial and error. And I think in Toronto, we just showed up with something that we had proven to work. And it just, gives you a little bit of a head start.
This has kind of been a topic more so coming out of Iowa a few weeks ago, and we haven't seen a release of the 2026 IndyCar schedule. Give me a few places you would like to go to, and do you think IndyCar is in need of more high-speed ovals, maybe like a Michigan, where we can see speeds for a second race outside of the 500 exceed 215, 220?
Yeah, I would say Watkins Glen is one that would be very cool. I had the chance to race there in 2017 when IndyCar raced there. I heard there might be a Denver GP.
Mm-hmm.
I like Denver, so do it. Then I would like a Phoenix to be on the calendar, just because it's not really an area in the country where we are. And from what I remember, that was a pretty good race.
There you go. You heard it here first. We're getting Denver, Watkins Glen, and Phoenix, and that's confirmed by Rinus. No, just kidding.
Speaking of the schedule, is we're on like a 6-week stretch here. How difficult has that been to kind of deal with, and especially for a team like Coin based in Chicago?
Yeah, it's been hard. I honestly don't see much to the crew, considering even one of our crew guys got run over on the first weekend of this stretch. But he's doing well. He's getting better every time. I think the crew's doing fine. It's kind of a fever dream. You just kind of walk through it, and it's over in a blink. For me, whenever I get tired, I always get weird skin things. So I've had an eye infection last week. I'm getting cold sores now, so that shows me I'm getting tired at this point.
Any big plans for the week off after Laguna?
Being home. Being home. Yes, maybe going to Portland a bit earlier, just to be in the mountains and within the trees and cool stuff.
How many times a week is Carmen punching you in the six pack there? What is that a weekly thing? Is that a good luck charm? Is that to keep you in line? What's that all about?
We did it once for a TikTok. It was my idea.
What was your finish after that? Because it could be a good luck charm.
I don't know. It was not before Iowa, that's for sure. When was that? I think Road America.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, I had 3 penalties and finished top 10, so.
Rinus, Carmen's an incredible athlete, I mean, like I've seen, like her fights are TikToks. They last 6 seconds. I mean, it's crazy. What is it like to be married to someone who kind of shares that competitive spirit with you?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to have somebody with me living together, sharing your life with somebody that, knows the sacrifices, understands why, some days I don't feel good, some days I do feel good, but also understands the grind to get to the top. So, when we work out together at the same time. So it's just stuff like that. That's actually, it's kind of like family therapy, being in a gym together.
Rinus, I think I can speak for the paddock when I say this. You're very fast. You're very respectable. I've never heard a bad word about you. Do you have friends inside of the paddock, drivers that you're closer to than others? There's a lot of times where we're as media and as fans, we want drama. We want, Kyle Kirkwood and Will Power to throw hands, and Santino Ferrucci and Connor Daly to throw hands. But is there a few drivers, if you want to name names, you can, you don't have to, that you're friends with? Because there's only 28 of you that you can go talk to and know exactly what you might be saying in your wordage to them about what's going on inside of a race car.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I would say, closer to my ex-teammates. So Jacob Abel, Christian Rasmussen still, his girlfriend Maria does always host, a bunch of drivers and, does stuff for Thanksgiving, Easter. So we like to show up there. Then Of course, Eurovip's probably one of my best friends in the paddock. I hope he was driving, but hopefully he gets stuff sorted out soon. But yeah, there's stuff in the paddock. There's a lot of nice guys, a lot of Europeans too. But yeah, there's no real drivers I hate, honestly.
What's your morning race day go-to drink inside a Honda Hospitality when we have it?
I don't get into there too often. I probably should.
You got to take advantage of that, man.
Yeah. The iced coffee is pretty good. Iced latte is pretty sweet. It's just the beans they use have so much caffeine. It just makes me go to the toilet explosively.
I love it.
Yeah.
Ringing endorsement.
Yeah, and then the issue is you're in porta potties all weekend, so it's like I have race fans knowing what my stool is like. That's weird, man.
A lot of holding it at Mid Ohio, that's for sure. 96 degrees. So, Rinus, hey, thanks so much. You're our first driver guest. Figured it was a perfect time coming off of the podium finish at Toronto. Best of luck the rest of the season. David will be at Laguna. I'll be at Portland. We'll see you for the ovals to wrap up the season as well. Thanks to Ryan for helping set this up. But best of luck the rest of the year in the Ask ROI number 8.
Oh, he's got one more thing.
One more thing.
Tony, go for it, Rinus.
Tony, you talk shit about Ryan, who is my PR guy, but also my inside rear tire changer, because you said he messed up at Barber.
Yes.
It was not
corrected
him.
that.
It was not him. Yes, he asked me to explicitly bring this up. So there you go.
It's funny because we talked about it, and then I think early May, I think after Barber was IMS. So I apologize. I made sure to come back on the show, but hey, I certainly deserve that. I'm all about being corrected. So there we go. Everything is cleared. Ryan got you on. We're so happy to have you. I know our listeners liked it. So safe travels out to Laguna Seca, and go one step further on that podium this weekend and get your first win of the season and your second of your career.
Oh yes, thank you. That's the goal.
Yep. See you in Laguna, Rinus.
See you there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, that was awesome. I mean,
oh my God.
There was a diarrhea.
Boy,
there was some.
That's gonna go over well.
They're driving the shit out of the car. A lot of references to where he finished on Sunday with the.
I think he needed to go to the bathroom. I think we kept him too long.
And I would say this, especially after races, we usually get to speak to, let's say 4th through 10th, or a quick interview with somebody who maybe had a good day or maybe missed the strategy. And we talked a lot to Rinus this year. It's been awesome after the race. I know he was joking around with Kyle when we were at Road America about David being in Europe. And I think we've all developed.
He called me a dumbass specifically.
Called David a dumbass.
We've all developed a great relationship with Rinus VeeKay, and glad he was our first guest. We're going to shoot for another guest next week. I think I got a driver in mind. Maybe he can have his second straight top 5 weekend, and we'll see if we get a driver on next week. But thanks to everybody for sending in comments as well. That was one hell of a conversation, boys.
Yeah, it was. I was really, shout out to Rinus, because that was, he didn't pull punches, which was awesome. Yeah. Like we pressed him on a couple of things and he let it rip to make another flatulence reference. So no, it was great. Rinus, we know this, from speaking to him, at the racetrack. He doesn't have much of a filter, which is great. And I think there are a few comments out here that, I think IndyCar needs to use him more as a forward-facing driver, because he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. Enjoyed having it. Kind of the underdog story, I think, of the 2025 IndyCar season. I know there was a couple comments about asking about the Indianapolis 500. I personally didn't want to push that too much. Kind of wanted to just stick to maybe the more so side of the positive things of the year. There were some behind the scenes issues, I think, at Indy that I don't think I was.
I appreciated the chat for immediately pointing out and recognizing Denver being mentioned.
Yes, which has been rumored.
You guys should have watched my video 2 weeks ago. I told you that Denver was coming.
I mean, we've been tweeting about it for weeks, months. I don't think it's next year. I think it's 2027, which ironically...
It's too late to announce it.
Right, which ironically 2027 is when the last year of Arrow's contract with McLaren, I believe. Soncio, which is a sponsor of Penske and Penske Entertainment, is based in Denver. Maybe you can get some play with Coors Light, which would be pretty cool. I think would be cool to see a brand, a beer sponsor really get behind. I know we talked about that on this show a few weeks ago. All right, big racing weekend here in Indy. All of the three of us, I think, are going to be in different locations. We got the Brickyard 400. The shop's got some awesome shirts. So we got this one for old Kyle. Yeah. David's going to get the 95 shirt.
95 500, baby. Sorry, 400.
95 Brickyard. So check those out at the shop Indy. This is actually one that they sold like the street vendors back in the 90s. And that's like the old school Kyle Petty car. So with that being said, Brickyard this weekend, looking forward to it. I'm actually spotting the Xfinity race randomly, possibly the ARCA race.
So when the big one happens, you guys know who to blame.
This is like the one time you're gonna get Tony like excited and like ready to talk about NASCAR.
No, this is it. This is it.
I think the most exciting part of the weekend is I finally have an excuse to wear all these NASCAR 90 shirts.
Yeah,
I'm going to bust out the Dick Trickle. I've got a 94 inaugural one to bust out. Johnny Benson, Kyle Petty, Loy Allen, Hooters. We'll see. I'm going to wear like 3 different shirts every day. So
Tony, you're going to have to send me pictures so I can show them to Jack because he's going to be in Laguna. He's not going to be able to appreciate that.
That's right. No. And you also have to ask Jack if that is him in the Mario Ender. Yes.
I forgot to ask him that. I had like 2 conversations with him during the weekend. Completely forgot to ask him. Yeah.
For those that don't know, Jack is a Japanese reporter on racing on IndyCar.
He's missed 3 races since 1992. 3.
Absolutely insane. So Laguna this weekend. Let's break that down. Colton Herta's been really good there. Scott Dixon, I think, is going to be in the mix. What are our expectations coming up for this weekend's race? I know, David, you'll be there. Kyle, you'll be, I believe, at a go-kart track. And
I'll be at the go-kart race of the summer.
I'll be at the Brickyard spotting for whoever Mike Harmon's putting in his car.
Well, I think we're all forgetting about the biggest race of the weekend, and that's Formula One in Spa-Francorchamps.
It's all you. Go for it.
The 3 of us are gonna like that. So yeah, nobody out of the 3 of us. I think the 3 of us can have a triangle of arguing which race is the biggest one this weekend. I think it's SKUSA Summer Nats. Tony thinks it's Brickyard 400. David thinks it's IndyCar at Laguna. Nobody is saying F1 at Spa. Not a single soul in this call. No,
I'm saying ARCA at IRP on Friday night before that. How about the Silver Crowns tomorrow night at IRP? How about
Silver Crowns? Yeah, I'll give you Silver Crowns.
Wait, they're putting open wheel cars in front of the NASCAR fans.
Yep.
Let's go.
We'll see.
They should.
Thursday night, Indiana Sprint Week kicks off, as we mentioned, with USAC on.
I consider this an absolute win.
We're going to educate the public, boys.
Kyle,
get ready to learn Silver Crown.
Kyle, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, hell, those guys would line up to come on this show. And you think Rinus didn't hold back these boys?
Yeah, that well.
Hell, Kevin Thomas Jr. ripped us in right before he climbed in the cockpit and drove me around. We had a good time. He's like, "You want one?" And I said, "Well, hell yeah, I do."
You had a freshie for Tony to spare.
Thanks to Doug Bowles for inviting us to that. Where do we want to go from here? Dude Bro Sources. I know people are asking about that.
We should probably talk Iowa, right?
We'll do Dude Bro Sources.
Okay.
And then I have a little. I don't know if you guys have seen any Twitter drama. I got something for after.
Twitter drama.
Twitter drama that I've seen is that Coldplay concert last week.
No. I'll tell you all about it after we do Dude Bro Sources.
Okay.
So we've learned that Iowa is going to be off next year's schedule. Nobody's shocked by that. It was believed that IndyCar had 1 year left on the deal. This was something that Penske Entertainment put together, a doubleheader weekend. Everybody that I talked to had the same, and I tweeted it. David, we talked about it on the grid. It was an embarrassing crowd. That's off the schedule. So you're going to need one more oval. Maybe you do a doubleheader at Milwaukee. Doesn't seem like that's maybe as popular to a lot of fans out there. But Iowa off the schedule. We've heard rumors of Watkins Glen. We've heard rumors of Richmond. Obviously, Arlington is going to be on the schedule next year. Your thoughts, David, on Iowa officially looking like it will be off of the 2026 calendar?
Not surprised, disappointed, but not surprised. I think there was a way to make it work. I mean, but I don't know. I probably am too much of a believer sometimes. I think that if it had been a night race on Saturday night longer, I think you proved that the racing quality would be good. I think you need to change the date. You would have needed to change the date because it's just too close to a lot of other Midwest races, and it was the furthest away of the Midwest races. So really a lot of things were working against Iowa. So now we get to the question mark, which was really the rumor kind of going into Iowa, which is, okay, if Iowa's gone totally, because that's 2 slots on the calendar, and that's the real kind of complication of Iowa going away entirely, is that it didn't just take up 1 slot, it took up 2 races. So one of those races was always going to go to Mexico City. If Iowa came back, it was only going to be a 1-race deal. Now you have an extra slot on the calendar, and the rumors have been that it would be replaced by another oval. I had heard Homestead and Richmond, as you mentioned. I believe Nathan Brown of the Indy Star added Phoenix to that list today or yesterday in an article. There is, if you read the IndyCar rulebook, by the way, I think the IndyCar rulebook is publicly available. If it's not, maybe I'll share a link. But there are oval tracks approved for testing in IndyCar racing, and a lot of people don't know this. If a team wanted to organize a test, wanted to use one of their test days, which they're pretty stingy with because they get like 2 of them a year, there are ovals approved to go run at. And it's a pretty interesting list. I tweeted this out if you haven't seen it already, but the ovals include Chicagoland, Homestead, Kentucky, Phoenix, Pocono, and Texas. Now, Pocono we could probably throw out. The paddock would probably revolt if we did that. Texas Motor Speedway doesn't want IndyCar, so you can throw that out. Kentucky Speedway is a place where YouTubers go to do urbex, so I don't think that's really an option. Chicagoland, I think, would be an option 2 or 3 years from now when NASCAR goes back there, but right now, not an option. So you're kind of landing on 2 IndyCar-approved tracks right now, assuming that they don't add Richmond to that list, which would be Homestead and Phoenix. We heard Rinus give his opinion that Phoenix should be on the calendar. I do agree that would be a different market for IndyCar, which would be nice. But as Kyle can probably attest, because he went to one of those races, the crowd was not very good. Now, I think that the last time they went there, which was either 2018 or 2019, I don't remember 2018.
They did 1 race on the UAK, and yes. I think that race was the best of the 3 they did, but they did 1 and then left.
Yes, it was not a horrible race, but it could have been better. I think we've learned a lot about our cars on short ovals since then and how to make them race well. And I think if they brought like a Milwaukee style or an Iowa style package there, and there wasn't a bunch of PJ1 down, I think you would have a very competitive race at Phoenix. I think during that last race, they did a pretty good job of promoting it. They kind of leveraged Mario Andretti. They called it like the Mario Andretti 250 or something like that, or the 25th anniversary race.
Marco ran a Newman Haas car.
Yeah, Marco ran a Newman Haas livery. It looked really cool. Like there were some cool things about that race that, again, kind of the story of our lives on ovals is that they kind of hit on something and then they leave.
Yeah. When I went in 16, which was the first year they came there, obviously it's the first year back in like 20 years. So like the crowd was abysmal. It wasn't the worst. And I do believe they've gotten rid of seating since then. I don't think it'd look as bad because obviously they got rid of that front straight or what the former front straight and they changed the corner numbering. I don't think it would look as bad as it did in 16 and 17 and 18 because like there's just a lot of stands there. I think I would make a real push for you and I to go if they went back. I'm
going. If they go to Phoenix, I go. Yeah,
it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool. I agree. I think they'd race so much better there. I don't think the 2018 race was bad. Like you said, it could have been better, but a lot of people shrug and don't like think that Phoenix was just horrible. It was in 16 and 17 when they couldn't pass, but like I thought that 2018 was pretty solid.
Yeah, there
if
was
I
a good
remember
little
correctly.
fight. There was a good little fight at the end between, I think it was Newgarden and Robert Wickens.
It felt pretty comparable to most short ovals in 2018, 2019. Like,
Yeah. And again, we figured out how to do it. Like we fixed Gateway. And if we
Yeah.
fix Gateway, we can fix Phoenix.
oh yeah,
So
Does that, where the start finish line, does that change anything?
no,
no.
The track's
it's the
still the
same
same.
track, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just where the race starts and ends is different.
it actually would make for a better race because the best passing zone is into what's now 3 and 4 at Phoenix, and there's a chance that they would come out of the corner side by side for a photo finish.
Yeah.
If you pass in the last lap.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no way you're passing or being side by side for long enough in 3 and 4. It just like the marbles there, it doesn't happen.
Kyle, you're selling me on Phoenix because I was
Telling
about
you,
to.
I've been on the Phoenix train. I wish I had clipped every moment I said, "Hey, Phoenix is cool." Like,
So let me make my argument real quick that I think Homestead should be the one that gets the nod because we need another super speedway. It would be nice to have one early in the season before the Indy 500. I think both. I mean, honestly, you want my honest opinion? Because you sold me on Phoenix. Let's do them both. Homestead and Phoenix early in the season. Have Phoenix replace the thermal date and have Homestead be the first race after the Daytona 500 and then go right to St. Pete. That's what I think you should. I think they should both be on the schedule.
yep.
So we talk about date equity. Do you see any dates of races being changed? Maybe a gateway, maybe something else. Obviously, next year you're going to be a little bit more crammed in if you want to keep the schedule ending before the NFL season starts, because I believe it's a 3-week break next summer with Fox broadcasting the World Cup.
Yeah, that's going to be the one that I'm worried about is Toronto. But I you know what's funny is my video still hasn't come out from Toronto where I was all doom and gloom. But I spoke to a local who I trust, and I trust would know what he was talking about right before I left, and he wasn't worried. So that makes me say Toronto's probably coming back next year. Now, will the date be different? Maybe. And so maybe that's the race that I see shifting would be Toronto. And then if you don't have Iowa, then you've got a gap because those races were back-to-back, right? So you've got 2 weeks in July. So then you'd go from Mid-Ohio to Laguna with like a 2 or 3 week break in between. Wouldn't be bad.
Let me ask you this, David. You were up there over the weekend. Did you hear any talks, any rumblings of the track itself on the streets of Toronto being moved?
So not specifically being moved, but the big question mark is the soccer stadium, because apparently it's going to be expanded in some way to host the World Cup. Now, you have room to expand where you wouldn't impede on the racetrack, but there's also places where if you expanded it outwards, especially at the end of the stadium, you would go right into the racetrack. So from the locals that I talked to, that was really the concern was what direction will the soccer stadium be built out, or what are they going to do to the soccer stadium to make it World Cup ready? And if they do that, how is that going to affect the track? Where do you move the track to? Those sort of questions. So yes, that came up, and that was probably the biggest reason why everyone was talking about Toronto potentially going away next year, or having the date moved is that World Cup date, and the fact that stadium is going to be a host stadium. So I don't know what's going to happen. Again, it sounds like maybe a later date would be a possibility for Toronto. But the other thing I heard this weekend is that maybe Mexico is going to be late in the season, like an August race, which that kind of surprised me a little bit, because I think a lot of us have assumed that would be a spring or a summer race, not like a late summer race. But that was the thing that came across my desk this weekend. So I don't know. That was kind of an interesting rumor that I heard.
I think that on the driver front, and tell me if you agree with this, I mean, I still think that we're waiting for that willpower domino to fall. And from the people that I've talked to and the recent conversations that I've had, as late as lunch today, was that's kind of what's happening. It's everybody's waiting for willpower. And then August 1st is kind of the date where you're going to start hearing some chatter. People are going to start talking. People are going to have conversations. Agents are going to be talking to team managers. Drivers are going to be in a loop of who's going where, what's going where. on the driver front, David, anything else new out of Toronto that you heard?
Not much. It was a quiet weekend from that perspective. It really was.
I just don't think that there's not going to be as much movement as we've seen in years past.
Correct. Here's the big. I think the big thing with willpower is this. And actually, I had a fan of mine give me a really good point right before I left. Shout out Ro, he helped me get to the airport. But like the big thing that I really didn't think about, but I think is saving willpower's bacon right now. A couple of things. Yes, it was willpower every bit of Will Plower last weekend. I mean, he hit everything but the pace car. And maybe he did hit the pace car because it broke, right? So, I mean, maybe Fox missed it. But the thing with Will is while Penske is having an absolutely awful season, Will Power is the top performer of that team. That team has gotten rid of all its senior level management. Will Power, arguably, not only the most experienced driver on the team, might be one of the most experienced and tenured members of Team Penske left in that organization. Now, I suppose there's an argument to be made that if you wanted to just totally clean house and just completely start fresh, you get rid of Will Power. But I think the argument is equally as strong that his job might have been saved because everybody else with experience is gone out of that building right now, and he is a pillar that the rest of the team can lean on.
Yeah, I would agree. There's sides to that argument. Whether are you going to hit the reset button, kind of like you already have, and bring in a David Malukas, which seems to be the hot rumor. Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. Or,
Kyle, please highlight Stymie's. Just we don't have to comment on it, but just put that up. Anyway, sorry. Keep going, Tony.
Yeah. And do you have is Malukas the guy? And do you want to change your most veteran driver on that team, or do you want to pick his brain, keep him there because he's been there for so long? So I think that's the question that Team Penske needs to answer. All right, IndyCar Laguna, Brickyard 400. We need some predictions. Kyle, we'll start with you.
Let's see. IndyCar at Laguna Seca. I have to go. I felt really good for points last week in my pick of Colton Herta, so I have to go back. I have to give him another shot. My boy failed me last weekend. He'll save me this week. All right, come on. He's got to do it at some point. Colton Herta. I think he wins the Laguna Seca, brings back that Herta dominance. The Brickyard 400, man. I don't watch NASCAR. I have to look at the entry list real quick. I have it on my phone. I have the app.
Catherine Legg's going to win.
But I do have the app. So this
both
is quick.
races.
Both races.
Entry list.
What's interesting is, and we don't spend a lot of time on NASCAR. Maybe we should. But I think, are we going to get back into the same conversation next Tuesday of we really don't care who won the race, and we're going to talk about, there was only this amount of people there and the place looked empty, because that seems to be
when I get back Tuesday,
I enjoyed the move back to Oval.
When I get back Tuesday, when we all get back after we've seen a Monday Brickyard, because I have to work at Newcastle this weekend, but like the rain gods are going to help us, and I'm going to go to the Brickyard on Monday. We'll come back on Tuesday and we'll talk about NASCAR. That'll be win and why.
You guys are leaving out the most important part of the entire weekend. It's not the Java House Grand Prix. It's not the Brickyard. And Kyle, I will let you make your pick here in just a second. But it is the final round of the NASCAR in-season tournament.
It's Granddaddy's money versus Grandpappy's money, baby.
It's
so. Wait, let me ask you.
What a great idea that was, Denny.
Did that backfire, or is that going exactly to plan?
Who is talking about it? Actually,
that's true.
I completely forgot that existed until the race. I'm sitting in a bar in the Toronto airport. Little did I know Air Canada was about to screw me. But I was sitting having a burger, watching the end of the race, and then I saw them yapping about it's Ty versus Ty, and I'm like, huh?
Give me Christopher Bell.
Ooh, see Bell. Okay. The Java House Grand Prix?
I said Herta.
Oh, he said Herta. Oh, sorry.
And don't forget about my Twitter drama. We got to go over after.
Yeah,
this.
I never forget about Twitter drama.
To the point about Ty Gibbs versus Ty Dillon, and it's funny because when I helped the Indy boys start, I always used to pick Ty Dillon as my driver. So I think it's whoever finishes inside of the top 25 will win that. I'm gonna go
25th place.
Chase Briscoe to win the Brickyard 400. I think it'd be cool to see a Hoosier win.
Hey, you can go to the Indianapolis Indians game and meet him. I'm probably going to go
tomorrow
to that.
night. He's also at Cabela's on Saturday. There's a bunch of driver autograph sessions around town this weekend for NASCAR drivers. You don't really get that in IndyCar, although you can go to the track and go to the full field autograph.
I think Dave and I are going to go. Speaking of Brickyard festivities, I think Dave and I are going to go snoop and see if any of the vendors on Georgetown are going to be open because sometimes
I'm about to walk down there in
Wednesday.
20 minutes, so I'll let you know.
We'll go buy a Greg Sachs diecast.
And then I have to leave Thursday for the karting race, so I'm hoping that and I'm gonna probably go to the Indians game tomorrow night, have me a hot dog and a beer, and go say hi.
I think I'm going too, so we'll.
Oh hell yeah, let's get tickets together.
My IndyCar prediction, I'm going to go with All Reliable. I think he gets it done for the second time this year. Give me a Scott Dixon win.
Shit! Yeah, you took mine. Damn, damn. Because I was going to be clever.
You're going to have to settle for taking Pelot then.
Well, I'm not going to take Pelot because I've been taking Pelot too much, and I feel like it's 50-50.
It's so easy to take him. And
I'm just tired of doing that. So I'm going to go. Well, first of all, Ty's going to win the in-season tournament.
Good one.
That's. I think a McLaren's going to win Spa. There, I got my Alex Pelot picks out of the way. I'll go Brickyard first. I am going to say, you know what? Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher's going to win the Brickyard 400.
He's a Kroger Saturday night. He's going to drive that Diet Cherry Coke forward right in the victory circle.
Oh, that would be badass. I didn't even think about that. I was mainly thinking about guys who were kind of like sneaky fast last year. The Roush cars were pretty good here last year. Brad looked like he was going to win until Larson kind of drove through the field and got it. I almost went Hendrick with like a William Byron, but I wanted to like pick anybody but William Byron. So Christopher Buescher is going to win, and Ty's going to win the in-season tournament, and McLaren's going to win in Formula One. And I think for the Java House Grand Prix, I'm going to do what the rest of this panel always does, and it never works out. I don't know why I'm about to say this name. It's such a dumb. I'm setting myself up for failure by saying this. I almost just want to say like his teammate that hasn't won a race, not the teammate that has won, just for the memes. But I'm gonna say, because he's driving angry, he's done pissed everybody off, and McLaren seems to be getting hot. Christian Lundgaard.
How many times? We need a number on how many times any of the three of us have picked him this year. Man.
It's got. Listen, it's good. He's gonna do it at some point. You know what? Actually, if not Christian, let's say the good karma is gonna strike Rinus VeeKay. Rinus, because wasn't he good at Barber? Was I wrong about?
I will tell you.
That's what he said in the post-race presser.
Isn't it funny?
That setup's going to boil over this weekend.
Isn't it funny, the group of like heartthrobs that we have in IndyCar this year that are so close to winning, but so far away? Like you think of Lundgaard and
Lundgaard's
Rosenquist.
A heartthrob?
Yes, because he hasn't won a race and he's so damn good. Like you look at the point standings.
I don't think
look at the top 10 of the point standings. There's Lundgaard, Rosenquist, who like are fast.
Where is Lundgaard right now? Where's Lundgaard?
Fifth.
So
fifth in the championship's crazy.
So David is partially right, and I am partially right. We talked about before the season started, is Christian Lundgaard a championship contender? Most of the time, being fifth in the championship would say, yeah, you're probably a championship contender.
Not this year.
He is not a championship contender running fifth, which is crazy to speak. And if you look at, so Pato O'Ward right now, I believe, is second with 436 points. If he had that after 12 races last year, he'd have a 21-point lead in the championship. That's how good and dominant Pelot's been this season.
Ali has weighed in that Christian is a traditional heartthrob. So there
exactly.
You go.
If
we
you
go.
did, if you did the thing and got rid of Pillow in the championship, Christian would still be about 130 points back.
I believe I said at the beginning of this season that I would look at his performance on the ovals, and that was going to be what was going to determine it.
Road America, he was on his way to a podium finish, and I believe he spun when the cycle was going through, and that knocked him out of a chance. All right, Kyle.
I think.
Yeah,
I think maybe I'm just a zoomer here because I think I use heartthrob correctly in my term, but we'll move on.
Isn't Heartthrob like a good-looking dude?
You said Felix and Lundgaard were good-looking dudes. Like,
all right, then fine. I'll stand by it. Like
he's standing on that business race,
I'll
man.
stand on it. Like fine, whatever.
He's saying that because he has the same haircut as Christian Lundgaard.
Hey, what can I say? I also have a tattoo on my arm, just like Christian Lundgaard.
Wow, incredible. I didn't
Twitter
even know
beef.
That. Yeah,
in
Twitter
NASCAR.
beef, baby.
It's NASCAR Twitter beef. So
that's the best. That
doesn't concern us, so we can just sit here and laugh but it includes a couple of big names. So someone found that on Sirius XM with Danielle Trotta and Larry McReynolds.
I saw this.
That Larry McReynolds, they were talking about the NASCAR, the playoff panel, which includes a bunch of former NASCAR drivers, Hall of Fame drivers, and they mentioned one driver who was very yelling loudly to get rid of the playoff system to go back to a 36 race championship. And Danielle was saying something about how she hopes that the NASCAR board isn't listening. And Larry chimes in and says, I bet it's the driver who doesn't have a championship. And of course, they're talking about Mark Martin, who is fully against the playoffs, base Mark. I think we all agree with him here. And then Danielle says on Twitter, Mark, you know I love you, but what we got is a whole lot better than what we used to do. We need playoffs. We need eliminations. We need to reward winning and consistency. This format does it all and is highly entertaining. And Mark Martin replies in all caps and says, no, we don't.
I'm going to go retweet that right now. I'll say this. Here's my response. Where's Mark Martin? I'm retweeting it right now. Here's my response, Kyle. We were in the IMS museum today. Yep. And I said to you, because we were filming a video for Kart Chaser, you should check that out when it comes out. It's going to be pretty good with the great Ryan Norberg. We were in the Penske exhibit. They have taken the attenuator car out. I was very sad about that.
They did. They put the two championship cars in the Blaney and the Logano. Right.
Did David remember that Ryan Blaney had won the championship 2 years ago?
No.
I went, oh, it's cool. I was like, oh, cool. Modern NASCARs are in here. And
do
then
any of us remember that Joey Logano is a three-time champion and won last year? I don't remember that. I don't, he's won 2 of the last 3 years.
ESPN also nominated him as the best driver candidate for the ESPYs, but who cares about the ESPYs? Why do we make a big deal about that? But sorry.
Oh, because it's the only award that an IndyCar driver gets entered in every year. I don't think any other racing series cares about it, but go on.
So what you're saying is I picked the right day to get a retweet from Mark Martin?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Because I was just talking to IROC and how great IROC was back in the day. How the racing
Actually, wait a minute. Hold up. Tony. I'm pretty sure your retweet is where this all stemmed from. Hold on.
Wait a second.
Hold on.
Wait a second.
The guy responded to my tweet.
No.
He did.
Wait a second. Hold the phone. Can we fact check this? Tony Donohue did Tony Donohue cause the NASCAR Twitter drama?
Hey, hold on.
My God, Tony, it's Brickyard Week. You're having an impact, baby. We're going green.
It's just like last year when I asked the best question and Ryan Blaney talked about making out. And I was like looking at all these NASCAR reporters like, what in the world? Hold on. I got to change shirts real quick.
Okay, Kyle, we need context on this because I don't.
So, yeah. So basically,
how did Tony Donohue cause Sirius XM to get canceled?
Tony posts this IROC picture. Mark Martin quote tweets it, says great memories. And then the guy commented on that quote tweet and said, hey, Sirius XM threw shade on you without saying your name, but I knew they were talking about you. post the like under the retweet of Tony. And then Danielle Trotta responds to a guy who's responding to that guy. This whole thing is from Tony's tweet.
I don't, you know, Kyle, we say this privately sometimes. I don't know.
We've said it. We have said it. If you're going to say what I think it was,
we're affecting history, and I don't like this. I don't like this. We shouldn't. We're supposed to be observers. We're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be a part of this, Kyle. I don't know how I feel about this.
I mean, like that's crazy because it's not like Tony was even like Tony Donohue when he's
tweeting
not
an
trying.
IROC car.
Even when he's not trying. All right. Okay. Now the chat's being funny.
Tony saved NASCAR.
Think about this. What if, because, okay, things happen in NASCAR because of Twitter drama, right? What if this discourse on Twitter that's going to keep going, which I've seen everybody retweeting and talking about this in the NASCAR community. What if this sparks the conversation of being like, oh, we should get rid of playoffs? I will
mark it down. An IROC car posted by Tony Donohue killed the playoffs.
If NASCAR gets rid of the playoffs, all I'm saying is, you know, drinks are on me, Tony, for a while. Like, you know, like
is that what you would call?
Yeah, baby.
Is that what you call? David always calls it main character energy. That's starting NASCAR and letting Mark Martin go off on Twitter all because I thought his IROC teal car back in the late 90s was absolutely badass, and I was at that race. Hell yeah.
Tony, you might have ended the playoffs in NASCAR.
So when Bob Pockris and all these NASCAR reporters show up and act like they care about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 2 days a year that they do.
Bob's going to Laguna, by the way. Bob's going to Laguna.
So if I'm invited to the media get together on Friday, should I just start asking about the playoffs? Even though one, I could care less because I don't watch a lot of NASCAR.
No, go to the media bullpen and just press the drivers about the playoffs. That is your assignment.
Should I wear this shirt as well so they know where I stand?
They're gonna hate you. They're gonna hate you.
They all hated me last year when I asked. It was a bunch. I mean, look, I like Jeff Gluck. He's been super nice to me. But some of the other people that were standing there, and I asked Ryan Blaney about winning, and he was talking about making out in the bricks, and then they played it on the NBC, and then they played it on the video boards, and I'm going, I show up here one time a year, and here we are.
Well, because the one thing about the NASCAR media, and this isn't necessarily a knock because it makes them all a lot of money, but I think the big thing for me is that I noticed that a lot of it's always like storyline related. Like, they're never really talking about, like, racing. They're always like, well, you were mad at Ty, and now you're in the in-season tournament with Ty, and you got to beat Ty. So which Ty is going to win the race? You know, and it's like, it's never, you're never thinking about, like, it doesn't seem to me, because I did that last year. I talked to some drivers at those bullpens, and it seemed like the drivers never, like, I was the only one asking about the race itself, like going, well, how are you going to approach the oval? You know, the next-gen cars got dirty air, you know, all this stuff. Like, I felt like I was the only one asking, like, racing questions about the weekend, and the rest of them were asking, like, well, with 5 races left in the playoff fight and with regular season championships on the line, what do you have to do this weekend to, you know, it's like that kind of questioning. So it's a little bit different, which isn't a bad thing. Again,
it's not bad
people thing. Click on that.
It's a WWE type of racing. Where it's, you know, let's talk about 5 races left in the playoffs, and because like they need something to grab onto for 5 weeks until they grab onto another thing for 3 weeks at a time for 10 straight weeks. Like that's it, you know. Hey, whatever. We cling on to different things for 6 months out of the year. Who are we to talk?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is if you guys want more NASCAR discussion, just wait. About November time, we're going to be talking a lot of NASCAR because there ain't going to be nothing. I mean, unless we can get Tony to turn into Formula One at 5 a.m, which I don't think he's going to do. So, yeah, get ready to talk about Phoenix, buddy.
Well, I've had longer nights. All right, I just sent Mark a tweet and I said, all right, I'm going to ask some drivers this weekend wearing this shirt. I'm just here for the chaos. I'm just here for the drama, I guess. I mean, hell, I was getting called out because I tweeted out what Joseph was saying over the radio and calling people out. So that was tough, very unwarranted. But you know what? Hey, if you say it over the scanner, it's fair game. Am I wrong on that? It's fair game?
Somebody tell that to Nolan Siegel.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Brickyard this weekend, Laguna. Thank you so much for Rinus VeeKay coming on the show. That was awesome. We'll see if we can get another driver coming up next Tuesday as well.
Maybe we'll get Mark Martin.
If we get that'd be huge. If we get a rain delay on Sunday, make sure, or even if you don't, make sure you tune in to the SCUSA Summer Nationals live on Kart Chaser. 1 p.m. is the Pro Shifter main event. That is, we have like 6 guys. All in championship eligibility. It's going to be badass. Can't miss event of the summer for sure.
David, what can everybody expect from you out in Laguna this weekend?
The usual coverage. Hopefully they don't lose my luggage. Sounds like I might get another team owner this weekend. We'll see. Got to set that up. But let's just say, I'll put it this way, guys. The Zach Brown interview ruffled a few feathers. So we'll see if I can get that out. But yeah, it should be. I'm going to have the run of the hen house. There's no doubt about it. The Indiana media is not going to be in California, so that's where David's going to be. It's going to be me and Bob Pockris, and we're going to be. That's when we're going to get the Kiff Dog win. We're going to have 5 different drivers fighting on the pit lane. Somebody's going to try to. I don't know. We're going to see a 3-wide pass like Alex Zanardi, but like on crack. It's going to be unbelievable. And but somehow the go-kart race is going to be the best race of the weekend.
It will be. We have 6 guys gunning for the championship. Okay,
well, that's definitely more than IndyCar.
There's a lot on the line in that championship. Even for the top. So the whole top 10 in points gets money. They get entry into the series for next year. They get entrance into Supernats. Like there's a lot on the line. Not only for the championship, but for the top 10. And there was a comment that came in. Jim, yes, that is in Newcastle. That's another. If you're not going to the Brickyard, but you're in the Greenfield area, sort of on the east side of Indianapolis, you can come on out. Come check out some sick go-karts.
And the go-karts awesome. Race in the rain, not the Cup Series.
It's completely, yeah, exactly. If it rains, we race in the rain. It's completely different than what you think it is. We have car haulers hauling go-karts coming in. The tents are pretty much what you see USF and IndyCar teams work out of. It's insane.
I'll take Zachary claiming to Mello to win.
That's happening in X30. That is happening this weekend.
You can watch ZCD, baby.
All right, boys. Thanks for hopping on here. To everybody that watched, don't forget to like and subscribe, share if you wish. Great conversation with Rinus VeeKay. Thank everybody out
legendary
for supporting us. Tomorrow, I wanted to mention our friend Don Cusick's on the hard compound. If you want to check that out, I'm sure there'll be a lot of good information coming out of that, as well as he prepares to maybe take a big step into ownership in IndyCar in 2026. For Kyle, for David, I'm Tony D. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here on Unverified.